Look at what I found in your antique closet. Do you drive with this, or do you actually polish with this? I mean,
it's paperweight. It's paperweight. It's a big paperweight.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. Actually, you know, these were really common. I don't know, in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. No, before I was born. They call it a steering wheel polisher. Turn it around, show everybody. It looks like a steering wheel. And I don't know, I brought this out because it used to be people complained that there were too few choices. And we had a choice of like the cyclo, that, and a rotary. 3 choices. And now people complain because there's too many choices.
Well, you know, forget what you asked for. Well, as you can tell, we are definitely going over tools, and you're going to...
Tools.
And more tools, right?
Tools, yeah, tools. Polishers and tools.
You're also going to go over and do kind of like a category overview of each polisher. Yeah. Not really the polisher itself per se, but the type of polisher.
The category, yeah. Long stroke, short stroke, gear-driven orbital, rotary.
So to take some of the questioning and stuff out of, you know, getting a tool, which one would be right for you.
Exactly.
Is basically what you're doing.
I'll do my best.
You'll do your best?
Yeah.
Like I like to say, thank you all for tuning in once again to a live detailing class and putting up with us two. You know, at least it's a fun way to learn, right?
I hope so.
I hope so too. We try to make it fun. Try not. Yeah, I'll zoom in on that in a moment.
Angry Nano.
Angry Nano. But also, I want you to know if you have any comments or questions, put it down in the comments down below. And if it's pertinent to what we're talking about right there, I'll try to get your question asked right away. If not, we'll have a question and answer session at the end of the broadcast.
Yes.
So I think that maybe we start with tools, but as you can see, we have tools everywhere. So I'm going to let him do a little dog and pony show here real quick about the reason why we have so many tools out here, and I'm going to go back over there. So see you on the other side.
What sound does a pony make?
I have no idea.
I can do the dog. Woof, woof. Dog and pony show. Okay, hey, if you look behind me, this is so much fun. We're getting set up here for our 3-day detailing bootcamp class. We do this 3 times a year. And one of the cool things about this class is you get to use all the cool tools on the market. A lot of classes out there, a lot of times they're brand specific because Autogeek sells everything, I show everything, and it makes it a lot of fun for you. Plus, I bring in a lot of cool cars. You're gonna worry, in fact, this class coming up, we got street rods, we got exotics, we got classics, we've got modern, mundane, daily drivers. But anyway, as you can see, we're getting all set up, and it's, the first 2 days is mostly just paint corrections and ceramic coatings, but it takes 2 days to work through all the tools, and you get lots of hands-on time because I bring in really big cars, so everybody's got a place to test and use the tools. Anyway, today we're going to talk about all these different tools. They're all great tools. You know, I got an article and I got a saying that goes like this: if you spend enough money, if you spend enough time behind the tool, you can make it dance on paint. And it just takes time. All these tools are very capable. They can all do what they're supposed to do. Sometimes it just comes down to you investing the time behind them to get used to how you need to hold the tool and use it to make it do what you need it to do. And by that, I usually mean buffing out a flat panel is fairly easy. Getting into corners, thin panels, gets a little more technique related, but you cannot develop that technique unless you spend the time behind the tool on a car in the garage. So all very capable tools.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Now this first selection of 3 tools here, these are short stroke polishers. And by that what I mean is they're orbital polishers. They're technically what they're called is a free spinning random orbital polisher. So free spinning, what that means is, watch me spin this with my finger. It's not gear driven. I can take my finger with any one of these and just spin the backing plate because it's not gear driven. It's a free spinning. And when it makes its orbit in its rotation, it'll rotate a pad in a circle, and then it'll make an orbiting stroke inside that circle, and the diameter of the orbiting stroke is where you would get the designation of the tool size. And in this case, this is the Griot's G9, so it's a 9mm free spinning random orbital polisher. And really popular. Griot's introduced these earlier this year. This is the G8. And as the name implies, it is an 8mm random orbital free spinning orbital polisher. And this is the Meguiar's MT300. This is an 8mm. And again, free spinning. So they're all free spinning, random, and they call it random because it's free spinning. There's no way that the tool can have a fixed orbit inside the rotation. Because pressures and stuff, the pad could spin really good in some places and not other places. So the orbit is random. It's just all over the place. There's just no rhyme or reason to it. So that's why it's a free spinning random orbital polisher. When I get over here to the gear drivens, notice I'll stop using the word random because it's gear driven. It's a very defined orbit stroke pattern or motion as it buffs up, spins a pad on the paint. Anyway, these are what I would call entry-level tools. So if you've always worked by hand, and Yancy, didn't we just have a video on working by hand?
Just last week.
Last week, and that was a lot of fun because I showed guys how to take out 5,000 grit sanding marks by hand, and you guys watched me work really hard and all the scratches came out. But the reason we did that is because a lot of people don't understand really how hard it is to work by hand. With a tool like this, you just turn it on and you just kind of guide it over the paint and it'll do all the work for you. But I call these an entry-level tool, a great tool for a beginner because you really can't make a mistake with one of these tools. They're that easy to use, and there's just no way with modern clear coat paints that most people could ever actually rub one out by hand. So if you've got a car and it's swirled out, you really need to get a tool, and this would be one of these would be a great tool to start with. Could you get me a pad for this, like a, actually I've got some right back here.
I was going to say, you got your class that you set up for.
Since we're setting up for the class, I've got all kinds of pads back here. This is actually a Buff and Shine 6-inch Eurotech. I just want to show you how safe these tools are. Let me put this on and get it centered. This is a great little demonstration here. You see that? Okay. I mean, if I can't hurt my skin with this polisher, you're not going to hurt the paint on your car. So
the only way you could is if you dropped it.
Yeah, if you drop it on there, you could. But you know, if you've never machine polished, you know, I know there's a lot of fear out there about tools that could burn the paint or put swirls in. Those are the two most common fears I think people have: is burn through an edge, or put swirls in the paint. First of all, these tools don't do that, and second of all, they're so safe you can't do any harm with them. Anyway, the Meguiar's MT300, the Griot's G8, and this is primarily for, as I like to say, you can get a different size backing plate for this. So it comes with a 3-inch, you can get a 2-inch, and then the pads are just a little oversized, so that means you could get a 3.5-inch pad or a 2.5-inch pad, and then that would make it real effective at buffing out thin panels, and it has lots of power. So lots of power with the new Griot's the 8 and the 9 there. Over here, okay, so these are long stroke. Now, I was trying to determine at what point do you call a short stroke and a long stroke a long stroke?
Yeah, where's the line?
Where is the line? So I've got a Rupes Bigfoot Duetto here, and this is considered a long stroke, and it's 12 millimeters. So this is considered short stroke at 9, so we've got 9 and 12, so somewhere at 10 or 11 would be the difference between a short stroke and a long stroke. And I'm just going to go ahead and split the difference in the middle, and I would say if somebody ever launches a tool out there that has a random orbit stroke length of 11. We'd call that long stroke. If it's 10, I'm going to keep it in the short stroke. I think Jason Rose, if you're watching this, you'd be the expert that could tell us where that line is, where that set of tools is short stroke. This set of tools would be called long stroke. This is more his area of expertise, and I would cede that decision to him. But these are what you consider long strokes. So now what that means is when they're all free spinning. So let me just grab this one. This is actually a brand new tool. Maybe I shouldn't be showing that. Here, I'll walk over and grab this one. Here's a Flex Finisher.
I let something slip.
I just realized that tool is new to the market. This is the Flex Finisher. This is the cordless version. It also comes in corded. And again, watch this. This is free spinning, okay, not gear driven. The Duetto, free spinning 12 millimeter. This is the Bigfoot Mark III 15. So it's 15 millimeter free spinning random orbital polisher. Here's the Bigfoot Mark III 21 millimeter free spinning random orbit. This Griot's polisher is a 21 random orbit free spinning, and here's a Griot's 15. So they're all the same category. They're long stroke, free spinning, random orbital polishers. The only real difference is the amount of the orbit stroke length. And again, when the pad is spinning when the tool is spinning the pad in a circle, it's also oscillating the pad, and it's the diameter of the oscillation circle that denotes the number that you hear me say.
Now let me interject right there. Now, why would you prefer, or what's the difference between the short stroke and the long stroke? Why would one be better than the other, or what was the differences be as far as in using them?
Oh gosh, I'm glad someone asked that question. Okay, so earlier when I said that these are a great entry-level or beginner's tool, one of the reasons for that, and this is just my opinion based on experience, I know some people might want to argue the point with me, and that's okay, they're perfectly entitled to their own opinion, but as the stroke gets bigger on a free spinning tool, the outer edge of the pad has leverage over the reciprocating component. Now take a moment to wrap your mind around that. I have an article on that. It's called The Ghosting Image. The ghosting image. You type that into Google and add Mike Phillips, it'll pull up my article. But what that means is when you get to these large stroke tools, so here's the Bigfoot 21. This is a huge stroke, random orbital, free spinning polisher. And say the edge of the pad is out to about here. And because it's so far from the center point, think of a lever or a lever, you know, so like if you're trying to pry a rock or a log off something, you'd put a big long like pull against a rock, and you'd put one end underneath the thing you're trying to move, and you could pull down. That's a lever. That's what I mean by a lever or a lever. The further you get away from the center of the reciprocating component, the outer edge has leverage over it and can cause pad stalling. So typically your large stroke polishers that are free spinning like this are great for big flat panels. Okay, but as soon as you try to get into a thin area or a curve, because the outer edge of the pad is going to have leverage over the thing that's making the pad spin, it'll tend to stall it out. Because these are short stroke, there's less leverage on the outer edge of the pad over the reciprocating component, so they're less likely to stall out. So if you're a beginner, you'd probably find more success cutting your teeth and learning how to use a machine polisher in your car with the short stroke polisher. As you gain experience, you could jump up to the large stroke, and then the benefit to the large stroke is typically they will cut or abrade faster because of the long stroke is moving the abrasive over the surface a greater stroke length than the short stroke polishers are. They're also smoother, less vibration, and the abrading action actually comes from that long stroke, not you pushing down on them. These tools over here, you'll tend to want to push down on them and push the abrasives into the paint, causing it to take a little bite out. These here is the long stroke that offers great abrading ability, so you're not taxing so if you're not taxing yourself so much pushing down as you're guiding the polisher over the place. So some very subtle differences, but also some very big differences if you're new versus you've got a lot of experience.
All right, I do have a question that's coming in here from Theodore. I'm not even going to try your last name. Sorry, Theodore. Are all 21 long throws equal? But that's to be discussed between, what do you call it, what brand you like and stuff. But that's not the question I really want to ask. Okay. What are the benefits do you get between a 15 and a 21?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm gonna go with history. History will be on my side on this. I think everybody in the world, to my knowledge, would give Rupes credit for introducing the long stroke, free spinning random orbital polisher to the paint polishing world. And as such, one of the things they did, and a lot of people don't understand this, if you were to ever get a copy of my Rupes how-to book, I explain this in the book, but one of the ways they went to market is they make a variety of different tools. Each of the tools has different orbit stroke lengths, and they have different size backing plates, which means they take different size pads. And one of their intents on this is if you want to be a detailer, is you buy all their tools, okay? That's a substantial investment. But now, if you're buffing a thin panel, a real thin panel, you could pick the Hybrid Nano with the 1-inch pad and buff that panel. If you're buffing a big fat panel, you could grab the 21, but then you have the right tool for the job. Now I'm gonna circle back to what 15 and 21 is. So in their way of thinking, the 15 runs about 150 millimeter or a 6-inch buffing pad. The 21 runs about or spins a 7-inch or 180 millimeter buffing pad. In fact, I can show you the difference here.
Part of cable, 8 or 9 millimeter?
It's 8 millimeter.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay, so here's a 180 millimeter, here's a 150 millimeter, and this would go on the 15, this would go on the 21. And so the theory being is if you got a thin panel, you wouldn't choose the 21, you'd choose the 15 because this would fit the panel without buffing on an edge or a raised body line better. You'd buff that panel out. When you got done with the thin panel, say the top of a fender, now you want to do the hood, you could bump over to the larger pad. So since they're the people that kind of created or originated the long stroke free spinning polisher, and their original idea was to have a different size pad with a different size orbit stroke length to fit the different body panels on a car. That's the difference between 15 and 21. Now, a lot of other people are offering free spinning long stroke polishers, but they don't offer quite that selection. So you kind of miss out on, you know, that little aspect that Rupes brings to the game because of their game plan. Their game plan was for you to buy all their tools, match the right tool, and thus the right pad size for the panel that you're trying to buff.
Okay, thank you.
It's a complicated answer and it's kind of hard to explain. I hope that makes sense.
Right, that's fine.
Okay, and then just let me just kind of recap some of these. This is the finisher. That is officially what Flex calls it. 15 millimeter. They come in corded and cordless. And the one thing I want to point out about this is think about the name, the finisher. So Yancy, do you think this would be good for doing heavy correction or removing sanding marks after wet sanding?
No, not unless you're
No,
a superhero with a finisher.
It's the finisher. So I've seen people that have bought this and then complain because it wasn't really good at doing heavy correction work. Well, that would be for the Beast or some other tool. It's the finishers for final finishing work. And I'll tell you, to cut the cord and go battery operated, it's a real nice feature, especially if you did the paint correction step, the hard part. Now you're just doing the light part. It's just nice to not have any cords. I'll tell you, of the long strokes, and these are my personal tools, the Mark IIs. I tell you, man, that doesn't get any nicer than this. Rupes really makes a fine-tuned, well-engineered, well-balanced tool. And they really operate smooth. And that's one of the things, if you read enough about all the different tools that people really like about the Rupes tools is the low vibration. And I've been to the Rupes plant in Milan, Italy, and I've met the engineers, and that's one of the things they wanted to build into the tool was not just something that spins a pad, but was comfortable for you to use for hours.
And now, speaking on that, I know that Rupes, they actually even thought all the way through down to the pad, so that way, because when we were at the event in Norway, you know, they're saying that everything is calibrated even down to the pad, so that way it takes all the vibration out.
Let me show that. Do we got time to show?
We can show that, but that's what I'm saying. That's
I'll
what
need a plug-in, so hold on.
No, what I was going to say is, you know, most of these long stroke tools, or any tool per se, they have a system, and a lot of thought process goes into these systems to use their chemicals, their pads, their machines.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to bring that out across also.
Okay, this is called the air test. I actually came up with this. It's in my book, and there's an article. If you type into Google, the air test, Mike Phillips, it'll pull right up. So here's what I do in all my classes. So this class coming up, I'll have everybody do this. I will take the Rupes polisher, I'll put this on the 6th setting, pull the trigger, okay, and I will have someone hold in their hand just like this. and it's vibrating, okay? Vibrating. It was never designed to be run without the pad, but the pad, the shape, the weight, the diameter, everything about this was designed to be in balance with the backing plate and the reciprocating components, you know, the 21 millimeter, the counterweight and all that. So if you put this on here, match it up perfectly, now you turn it on, hold it, oh, it's completely smooth, okay? So that's what I'm talking about. The design that goes into the Rupes tools is just unmatched. And, but that's called the air test. And one of the things I teach people to do is Rupes, you know, for years now, people will ask me, Mike, I'm gonna get a Rupes, what pad and what polish should I buy? Well, if you're gonna go Rupes, go all in. Become an expert with the Rupes system. Then, if you wanna try to experiment with some other company's pads and chemicals, go for it. And if you find it's not working, at least you've got the Rupes system to fall back on to get that car buffed out. And if you put somebody's pad on there and you do the air test, clean, dry pad, not wet, and it's vibrating, it's probably not gonna rotate very well. So that's a quick test you can do to test pads out on different, at least on the Rupes tools, because they're so well engineered.
And that's a good tip too, is, you know, if you're gonna buy a tool, look at, see if they have a system, because everything's been calibrated. So, I mean, Griot's has the Boss system.
Yes.
Rupes has theirs. Flex, they don't make chemicals, but no, it'd be a good thing to, you know, start doing.
Oh, well, let me just real briefly on the
okay.
on the Griot's Boss 15 and 21. Richard Griot's philosophy is a quote from I think it's Sir Henry Royce of Rolls-Royce. And I forget the exact quote, but it's to take what exists and to make it better, to perfect it. And so they've brought out their own version of the long stroke 15 and 21 millimeter polishers, and they are also very well built tools. And with the Boss system, one of the things I like about it, it comes with a complete set of pads and chemicals, which I have back here ready for the class.
Yep.
So one of the things, just to let you know about my class, is I teach Rupes as a dedicated class. So when you come here, you get to use the Rupes tools, Rupes pads, Rupes chemicals. It's a Rupes class. When I teach the Boss
part
system,
of your class, not the
it's
whole
a part.
thing.
It's just a part of it, yeah. But it's the real deal. The Griot's is the same way, because they make a system. You learn the system. I don't start mismatching stuff, because that wouldn't be a very good experience for you. Plus, here at Autogeek, we sell all this stuff.
Right.
So anyway, long strokes are great. I'll give you my real honest take. When I'm using free spinning long stroke, I'm doing finishing work. I'm usually not doing correction work. When I'm gonna do correction work, I'm into this cart right here.
That's your favorite cart.
This is my cart. Ask me what cart this is.
Gee, could it be gear driven?
This is gear driven Orbital. Now I've dropped the word free spinning. And I've also dropped the word random. So this is gear driven. This is the Rupes Millet. And when you say Millet, you have to move your hand like this. Millet.
I don't know where that came from. I think Todd, when we did a video.
I think Todd Helm did it.
Yeah.
I like to give due credit where
No,
credit's
I think
due.
it was when we were out in Vegas. I think he did that there.
That's funny. So this is a gear driven 5 millimeter Orbital polisher. Not random, it's a fixed orbit pattern. Now listen as I turn this with my hand. You can hear the gears. Mm-hmm. If I bump back over here, I'll just grab this one. Listen, nothing, no gear, free spinning. So this table here has gear-driven Orbital. We got the Millet F5 millimeter, and then Flex has, at this moment in time, they've got 3 8 millimeter Orbital polishers, all gear-driven. This is the original, called the Beast, okay? You can tell it by the aluminum shroud here. I've been told that the Beast is going to be discontinued. I don't know when, maybe not for a few more years, but if you have one and you know you want another one, or you think you might want one in the future, you better get your hands on one while the getting's good.
No, that's the metal. The metal one.
It's got the aluminum head. It's kind of heavy.
The 34 one's still going to be around. It's just not going to have that
yeah,
head.
the 34 one, it's still going to be around, but it's losing the heavier aluminum head, and it's going to be going to the new version, which I affectionately call the Super Beast. Now, the Super Beast has lost the aluminum head. It's still 8 millimeter gear-driven Orbital, but it's lighter, quieter, smoother. It doesn't have the peak high RPM that the original 3401 has, but it's only missing by like 200, maybe 300 RPM.
Oh, that's a deal breaker for me.
It's not enough to really make you choose one over the other. And then, of course, is the Sea Beast. Sea Beast, sea meaning cordless, the cordless beast. Same idea as this one, only we've cut the cord. Flex has cut the cord. And another a great tool. But when it comes to doing the correction work, here's the benefit of going gear-driven orbital versus free-spinning random orbital or just pure rotation rotary. With rotary, because it's only going to spin a pad in a single direct direction, you always risk burning the paint or putting holograms in. And you can get guys that'll argue about how great they are. They can produce a hologram-free finish on any kind of paint in the world, and I just let those guys do all the bragging they want to do. I know what's what, and I got a couple of friends of mine that are also really smart at this, and they know what's what, and I guess I would disagree with that at this point in time.
Yeah, we're just not going to go down that rabbit hole.
We're going to go down that rabbit hole. With these here tools over here,
Oops, hold on, let me pan out.
no matter how great they are, no matter how great, and they're great, I use these all the time. But because they're free spinning, if you hold them wrong, you get into a tight corner, you always have the issue of pad stalling because they're free spinning.
But they are safer. They're the safest.
Completely safe and great tools. There's nothing wrong with it. But for someone like me that's been detailing for probably over 30 years now, I have another saying, a quote that goes like this: with the 3401 or with a gear-driven orbital, you can power through a detail. And what I mean by that, because there's no pad stalling, you point that polisher where you want it to go and you go. And there's nothing that's going to slow it down. There's nothing that's going to stall out. If you match the right compound and padded the tool, you're going to remove the paint defects as fast as humanly possible without leaving holograms or burning the paint. So that's the benefit of gear-driven orbital, is you got all the power of free spinning, or the safety of free spinning, but you got the power of gear-driven, no holograms, no swirls, no burn-throughs.
But let me just ask you this, because this is, I don't know if I've ever asked you this before. Could you technically turn around, actually let me pop me up so that way I'm not just like a voice out of the nether.
Out of the ether.
Yeah, with the gear driven. Mm-hmm. Now those, if you leave it on a section you're pushing hard, it's the pads, the free spinning, the pad's going to stop. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to do any damage to the paint.
Can't do any damage, yeah.
Now with the 3401, say you do the same thing, you sat there and you just stayed in one spot.
Yeah.
You could effectively damage that paint because it's not stopping, correct?
But yes, but what you did is you checked common sense at the door.
Well, I understand, but I'm just saying it's
yes.
That's the real difference between it. Is that you could
there's more power, more danger, but hey, use some common sense. But here's what I tell people, because this question comes up all the time. Hey, with that tool, whatever it may be, can you burn through the paint? Well, usually if you're going to burn through the paint, and we're talking about a modern base coat, clear coat car, the paint's probably already thin from someone else doing something stupid, okay? If the paint is so thin that one of these tools this way would burn through it, you could probably burn through it by hand. And by burn through, I mean rub through it, okay, because it's so thin. And we've talked about this a whole bunch of times, Yancy, where the factory clear coat, not the factory finish, the whole thing, but the clear layer on average is about 2 mils. The average Post-it note is 3 mils. So grab a Post-it note, hold a single Post-it note between your finger and your thumb, that's 3 mils. The clear coat on your car is thinner than that, okay? So first of all, you always want to use good abrasive technology, the right pad for the job, and the right tool, and use common sense. But if, say, someone else had buffed a car out before you, maybe it's been buffed out 2 or 3 times, maybe it's 10 years old, it's been buffed out 100 times, no one's burned through, you make one pass with the polisher and go through, you would have done that by hand, because other people did stupid stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And on a related topic, this is a question I've been asked so many times. Hey, Mike, how many times can I compound my car? Now,
stop doing what you're doing to it.
doing stupid stuff, you don't got to compound it again. I love hypotheticals, because what someone is sincerely asking is how many times could I compound my car and not go through? But the idea is if you got a car and it's got swirls, scratches, water spots, or oxidation, and you take one of these tools and buff it out and get it right, then don't do the things that would put the heavy defects back in to cause you to have to compound. It's normal for a year or 2 to go by and to see light swirls and scratches. Now you just got to polish it. That's very non-aggressive. So there's no reason to have to keep compounding and compounding and compounding car unless you're purposely running it through a Swirl-O-Matic car wash every weekend. So don't do stupid stuff, and you don't have to. That question never will be something that you got to contemplate. Okay. So anyway, great tools. I tell you, with these tools here, one thing that's also separate about these is because they're gear driven, all of a sudden, they don't care what the size or the shape of the pad is. They are going to turn and churn no matter what you put on them. And I also show these tools for machine sanding on gel coat and aluminum. Not car paint, but in my boat class, we use these tools to machine sand oxidized gel coat. Okay, rotary polishers. Now, I always think this is funny. We sell the DeWalt. This is the 849X. This is a great tool. A very powerful, well thought out rotary polisher.
That's a forearm buster right there.
You know, it only weighs about, I don't know, 7, maybe 8 pounds. And these tools over here in the 5 pounds, it's not a lot of difference. But if you're working on the vertical sides, not only you got to push the polisher in. Let me show you. You got to push the polisher in, but you also got to hold it up. Now you're taxing all these arm muscles and all your chest and back muscles. So it does make a difference on weight. But I do meet a lot of people that have, this is what I would call a full-size rotary. And these over here, the Rupes LHR, help me out with this. I always forget the part number. They never came up with the cool name for this thing. LHR 95E, something like that.
Well, what's the...
I don't got my contacts in, so I can't see. But anyway, it's lightweight and compact in size. Very lightweight, compact in size. So is the Flex PE14. Very lightweight, compact in size. So these are compact. This is full size. I meet people all the time who says, well, you know, I've got this, and they're talking about a full size. I tell you, here's the deal. When I put the rotary polishers up for my class, and it's time to go over how to use a rotary buffer on a car, or after wet sanding, we use the rotaries to remove the sanding marks. I'll put out all the Makitas, the 3Ms, the DeWalts, and then I'll put out the compacts, and the compacts always get grabbed first.
Gee,
nobody walks over and goes, oh, give me that full-size one, you know? So I know there's a lot of guys out there that go, oh, I got this is a great tool. Yeah, you got that because you got that. You want one of these. And, you know, they cost about twice as much.
There's nothing wrong. Don't get us wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just they're heavier. That's
they're just heavier and louder. This has what they call a stamped gear in it. You can
kind of hear it.
You can hear it. It kind of growls. And this one here is like a stainless steel.
Actually, that one sounded
It
louder.
actually sounds louder, but they're very different machines. Anyway, rotary buffer. So the thing about the rotary polisher is it has I always like to say it like this, it has the ability to remove paint the fastest. Now some of you may be saying, well, why would you want to remove paint? Well, when you have swirl scratches, oxidation, water spots, or sanding marks that you would sand a car, you need to remove some paint. You need to abrade the surface and level it to remove the defects, and that's removing some paint. So out of all these tools, this one will remove paint the fastest.
So that's like your heavy lifting tool.
This is the machine, and I cut my teeth. I have my original Makita.
Oh, we should have had that out here.
Should have. You can go grab it. I got my original Makita that I bought in 1987. Is one of the first, if not the first, variable speed rotary dials. They used to be 1-speed because they were just grinders that they used to buff paint. Then they made a 2-speed. You had a low and a high, and the low was really still pretty high, and the high was still really high. And then
5th or 6th gear.
Then when Makita brought out the SPC 9207, that's what I got. I think the low RPM on that is, I think it's 1200 RPM. So it's not even, because like the low on this, on the Rupes is 400, is 400 on this, so like really slow. And the slowest speeds on the old-fashioned rotaries were really high, you know. So, and the thing is when you're buffing out paint, nowadays with clear coats, you don't need high speeds. You know, you can do everything around 1,000, 1,500 RPM. In fact, clear coats don't like to get hot, and so you don't want to use high speeds on clear coats because it creates a lot of heat, which can cloud or damage the paint. But where these are really good for is if you've got serious paint defects. So you got a car that's just, it's hammered, a lot of deep scratches. These tools will all tackle it, but one of these tools right here will tackle it, you know, and it'll remove paint the fastest. The problem is typically when you're trying to remove serious defects, you're using these with a wool pad. Here, let me show you what I mean when I say a fiber or a wool pad.
All right. And for all those, I just saw, I'm going to answer a couple questions while you're up in there. I mean, let me bring me on. Yes, Rupes is an Italian-made polisher, and Flex is from Germany. Where is DeWalt? That's made here, right?
I have no idea.
I think it's made. I think it's American made.
Could be U.S.
I'm pretty sure. I think so. I could be wrong. Yeah. Griot's.
I can't see it on there, but.
Right.
Whoops.
Whoa!
It's heavy. Try to get away from me. Okay, so here's a traditional wool cutting pad. This happens to be a small one made by Rupes, and actually it's the one I teach in my boat class. It's actually a really nice wool pad.
Yeah, you turned me onto that one.
Yeah. But because it's got all these fibers, it's really powerful at cutting the paint so you can remove the defects very quickly. The problem is each one of these fibers, can you see that, Yancy?
Oh, here, let me zoom in.
Each one of these fibers puts its own cut in the paint.
Okay.
And that's where your heavy or deep holograms come from. So if you start with something like this with a heavy cut, you can get the job done fairly quickly, but you still want to come back with something that's orbital to pull the holograms out with.
Yeah, those are the polishers that you always see in the old movies where they're sitting there with a big old massive wheel and
Yeah, that's what some guys call it, a wheel. If you meet a guy that goes, yeah, I know how to wheel a car, that tells you, first of all, he's probably old. And he's talking about a rotary polisher or rotary buffer. And they used to call them sander polishers, and before that they were just grinders that they started buffing car paint with. What I show for these in my classes, because I think it's important for everybody to have a foundation with all these tools. On Saturday, we do 6 cars a day on Friday, 6 cars on Saturday. The last 2 cars on Saturday, we go over the rotary polisher, and everybody gets to buff out a car using the rotary. And then Sunday, when we do wet sanding, we wet sand a couple cars. We use the rotary again to pull sanding marks out. So there's 2 different class sessions in my 3-day class where you get to use the rotary. And by the time you get through that, you have a really good feel on the correct technique to how to hold it, how to use it, and how to buff out a car with it. And it's a lot of the same techniques over here, but I will tell you it does take a little bit more upper body strength because that pad is only spinning in a single direction, and it will have a tendency to want to pull you a little bit. So you need to stagger your feet, have a good stance, and have a good hold. It's not as easy to use one of these tools as it is usually something like a short stroke polisher.
Oh, I know something that we forgot.
But it's not difficult. I mean,
now that you brought that up, is one cool thing about the 3401, the forced rotation ones, is they'll actually teach you how to hold the polisher right, because they could walk on you, right?
That's true. The gear-driven tools, and this is, let me step back over here. The gear-driven tools.
I just thought of that while you were talking about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
People for years have talked about the 3401, how it walks on you. And what they mean when they say that is when you put a pad on here and put it down, because it's gear-driven, with these tools over here, the free spinning tools, there's a certain amount of slippage, so to speak, that if you hold it a little bit crooked, it doesn't really transfer, you know, that there's more pressure on one side of the pad. It doesn't transfer to you holding it. With a gear-driven tool, when you hold the pad a little bit off-center to, crooked onto the panel, it's going to be grabbing on just that side, and it's going to transfer that feel through the tool body, and you're going to feel it, and you'll go, hey, it's trying to pull me away or it's trying to push toward me. They call it the walk, it's trying to walk on you. So that does 2 things. One is it tells you, A, you're probably not holding the pad flat to the surface, okay? And so you just need to adjust how you're holding the tool. So as Yancy likes to say, they talk to you. They're self-teaching. But I go up on edge all the time with this tool. I go up all the time. I go up on edge, and it's it's pulling me, but it's how I expect it. But what I'm doing when I do that is I'm taking. I'll show you exactly what I mean.
He's gonna show you.
Here's a Lake Country 6.5-inch force hybrid pad. And if I put this on here and say I want to buff out a 2-inch panel, okay, if I want to buff out a 2-inch thin panel like around a windshield frame, I could grab this, the Nano.
Which we're getting to next.
Which we're going to get to next. Or I could grab the Pixie. Or I could put a 2 or 3-inch pad on the G8. But usually what I'll do is I'll just, whoops.
I'll get it.
I'll just go up on edge. And I already expect it to kind of pull me, and I'm expecting it. So I counter that with the way I hold it. But that way, that's one of the reasons I tell people I can power through a car is I just kind of hold it on edge. And one of the things I do, and you'd see me do this in the class, instead of holding it up here, is I'll grab the body so I got my arms and my hands away from the head of the tool so I can see what that pad is doing as I go up on edge. But that way I'll buff out an entire car with just one tool, and because I'm not changing tools, I'm getting it done faster.
And that's the thing about once you learn your tool, you know what little things and tips and tricks that you can do with those tools.
Again, spending enough time with any of these tools, you can make them dance on paint. That's what I mean. In fact, I got an article by that name. If you spend enough time with any tool, make it dance on paint. Type that into Google, I'm Mike Phillips, you'll pull my article, and you'll see me holding all these tools on edge and making them dance on paint or abrade the paint on edge. Okay, so rotors. Now we're over here. Well, we got micro tools, but we got this oddity.
Yeah, we don't have an Udos here. They're bringing all your Udos to your class. So
we don't have the Udos here. I think there may be one in Megan's office if someone wanted to run and go get that.
Yeah, that's me running all the way through the warehouse.
This is kind of an oddity, and I thought we'd bring it out here and show it to people. I used to teach this as a dedicated class in my 3-day class, and I always have them out, and I take them in my roadshow classes, but this is called the Cyclo. And It's kind of interesting in that it's a long stroke. It has a 15 millimeter orbit stroke length, and it's also interesting that it's part gear driven, part free spinning. So if you look right here, the backing plate is not gear driven. It's free spinning, and it gets its rotation ability through the counterweight, which is behind it. But if you look right here, as I grab this one and spin it in orbit, this other one's orbiting too, so these two are in unison, gear-driven, but free spinning. So it's just a real odd type of tool. And it is well-balanced, it is well-built, it is indestructible.
It's built like a tank.
It's just built like a tank, and this has been around since 1952. This is actually the Mark II version, so it's got the variable speed dial, it's got the rocker on-off switch instead of the old toggle switch. And you know, is it a good tool? Here's what I like to do. I like to let people buff with it and make up their own mind. And some people absolutely love this tool. For me, here's what I would just say. With all these other tools, you're just focused on a single pad and what it's doing. Okay. Well, this one here, now you're focusing on two pads and what they're doing. So it's really a personal preference, but here's the thing. You'll never know if you like it until you try it. You come to one of my classes, you get to try all the tools,
and that one also comes with, you know, different pad attachments.
You get brushes
and everything like that for cleaning carpet.
You can get sanding discs and scrubbing pads and all kinds of different things. It's actually really, and that comes in pneumatic and different volts. And Rupes actually bought the Cyclo Tool Company, and that's how they got their footprint into the United States, as they took over a pre-existing successful company called Cyclo, country called Cyclo, and then expanded on that with their own line of Italian tools. So they actually own both. And now this thing is available, I think, in different colors. So it's still a real popular tool, but you really got to try it before you buy it. Okay. Now over here,
special tools.
This is some micro tools over here. I'm gonna set this one down just so I got some room here. Okay, so this is a really popular Rupes tool. This is the LHR 75 Pneumatic, and this is a 15 millimeter random orbital polisher. So it's like many of the tools down there that there's no gear driven, it's free spinning. But one of the cool things about this is because it's air driven, it'll buzz from zero OPMs all the way up to 11,000 OPMs. And you can put a little 4-inch pad on here, and so it's really nice for getting into the thin panels with a ton of power. The thing is you've got to have a fairly large air compressor to run this. All air tools, the way I describe them, remember, if they're big or large, they just tend to be air hogs. So if you got that little tiny pancake air compressor in the back of your trunk, it's not going to work. It's going to be running full time. Usually what I tell guys is you want an air compressor where if it's got an air tank, whether it's vertical or horizontal, it's 60 gallons, which would be about as tall as me, or if I was laying on my side, it'd be as long as me. That's a general gauge of how big of an air compressor you need to run any air tool, palm sander, anything. Okay, over here we've got the 2 nanos. Now, everybody kind of thinks it's funny that I put little angry faces on my nanos, and I call them the angry nano. And someone asked me the other day, why do I do that? And it's because I have limited skills and abilities for drawing. I can only draw like that face. I could make it happy by changing the eyebrows, or I can make it angry. And so that's it. Like, Yancy's an artist. He could do anything. But one time I was out here, what I wanted to do, this is originally what I did, I wanted to put tape on the front of this, so if I was buffing into things and I bump in, this aluminum housing wouldn't hit anything. So I just wanted to put some tape on there. And then one day I just kind of drew a face on there, and I went back to work, and I put it in a picture somewhere, and someone asked me about it, so I called it my angry nano. This is the short neck and the long neck, and the actual difference is only 1 inch, believe it or not, 1 inch difference. But I tell you, I know a lot of guys love this because without the extended neck on it, there's no leverage over the head and you holding it, so it's easier to use with one hand. But for me, I always find I like the reach. I like the reach of the longer neck.
Now, what are those? What's the benefits of having these small little tools? You obviously wouldn't do an entire car with one of them.
No. What these are really all about is a thin panel. So look, here's what I mean by a thin panel. Here's a thin panel. You could get in here, and you could focus just on the, I thought I just charged this battery. You could just buff out just that thin panel.
Okay. Now, does that random orbital? Is it rotary?
Well, let me talk about all three, because they all do the same thing. So this then is the Pixie, the PXE80. I call it the Pixie because the Pixie's a little fairy. This is a little tool, so there's kind of a tie-in there. And this, of course, is the Flex Micro tool, and it's battery operated. And it's a very cool tool. But here's the thing these two tools, the three, I guess, short neck, long neck, have in common, is they offer you, through changing the drive units on the end of the tool head, to go from rotary to go to 3mm random orbital free spinning or 12mm random orbital free spinning. So you get 3 different functions with each of the tools, and then it's just their own kind of, the Rupes has their version, Flex has their version.
Okay. And
great tools. And you can use this for sanding. We've shown that in the video. I wouldn't say it's really efficient. Neither are these for sanding. If you put the 1-inch backing plate on here and you go to the 12mm free spinning random orbital, you could use it for doing little dirt nibs or tiny little touch-up paints or things like that. But really not too functional for that. Mostly good for either. I use the Nano long neck for what I call edging. So if I did this here last couple weekends ago. I buffed out a brand new Porsche, and the Porsche had extreme water spots. I call them drizzle stains all over the glass. And I'm going to buff out the major part of that windshield to remove the drizzle stains with a large pad on a large tool. But to get right around the frame of the glass, I went ahead and I just used the Nano and just did like an inch away, and I was able to get right in there. So I use it to polish glass, but I also use it to polish all the paint. Same idea. When I'm going to polish out a car and I want to get in tight around things like rubber trim, sunroofs, windshield frames, I will edge the panel with the small pad, then come back and I can just quickly knock out the big major portions of the panel and be sloppy about it, basically. That's
because I'm lazy.
Because I'm lazy, yeah.
All right, so that's all the tools categories. I mean, there's some oddballs out there, like the Udos, which we don't have out here. That's because I do believe they're bringing you some for your class.
If you look up here, I've got a place up here for the Udos when they get here. They're being shipped here right now, and so I don't have them here yet. But what the Udos is a 5-in-1 tool. So
I think we're going to be seeing more of those type maybe coming down the line. So I want you to speak about those.
So the Udos is actually a feat of engineering. They invested a lot of time into creating the drive, the motor, the head of this thing, so it could be multi-function. So here's what it offers you. It offers you a rotary polisher. It offers you an 8mm random orbital polisher,
so
12mm.
It offers you that polisher.
Yep. So it offers you something like the Meguiar's, and then it offers you something like the Flex 15 and the Rupes 21. So you get 8, 12, 15, 21 in random orbit, and then you can also, with a flick of the housing, you can go into rotary mode and throw a wool pad on there and pull sanding marks out with it.
Okay.
So it's actually a very complicated tool. I'm amazed that they were able to come up with this.
The engineering behind it is a little bit of a marvel.
Well, I tell you, sketching this out on paper, it was one thing. To actually make the tool appear was another thing. So, but yes, if you're attending the class coming up, not this weekend, but the next weekend, that's the Udos station, and you'll be some of the first people. This will probably be the first detailing class where people have had the chance to use the Udos. In fact, I got the new Rupes pads and chemicals coming in. I got a few over there, but I got a shipment coming in, and this will probably be one of the first detailing classes, at least in the United States, where people are going to be buffing out entire full cars, things like Chevelles and stuff like that, using the new Rupes system.
Okay, so that is polishers. People that are out there, I see you guys' questions coming in. I will get to those here in just a little bit. We are going to flip the script a little bit, and let's go into some of the must-have tools. I know there's some of these that I absolutely love. Let me just get a nice little focus in there. Some of these that I absolutely cannot live without, and I know some of them Mike can't live without, so...
Okay, so let's just start. Does it matter where I start, Yancy?
You go anywhere.
Okay.
It's just kind of like a hodgepodge.
Okay, so this is an IK sprayer. This is the IK9, and these things are just really handy for misting onto a car different types of chemicals, whether it's an all-purpose cleaner or into an engine compartment, a degreaser.
Could you use an iron remover in that?
Could you use an iron remover?
Yeah.
Offhand, I'd probably say no. It depends on what the seals are made out of, because iron removers are a little bit more on the nasty side.
Okay.
But what's cool about this is you can fill this up to the metering line here, then pressurize it just by pumping it. And then, boom, you've got pressurized spray instead of trying to do this.
I was going to say, no more tired hand.
Well, where it'll disable you. For if you're a detailer and you try to do this all your life by squeezing a pull trigger, it'll actually deform your hand muscles. Met guys like that. So the IK sprayer is very convenient. It comes in different sizes. Of course, here at Autogeek, we carry all these things. I show this, if I've got to wash a car in here, and that means I've got to somehow wash the wheels and tires, I will pump this up with just clear water, and I'll use it to rinse the barrels and the backs and everything, because I can get that little nozzle and actually do a full wheel wash in here where I don't have running water. So it's actually pretty handy. This is a foam gun. Now, I know that a lot of people, when you're up on social media, you see cars that look like they got shaving cream on them. Those are foam cannons. Okay, so here's the difference. Foam gun hooks to garden hose. Foam cannon hooks to pressure washer.
Cue the truck.
Yeah, cue the truck outside. So one of the things I tend to do is I tend to show these more than the foam cannon, but there's a reason why. More people own a garden hose and have access to a garden hose than own a pressure washer. And you will never generate the kind of foam you can with a pressure washer because it's pressurized, but you can still generate a lot of foam, and you can cover and slather a car in foam. It helps to, the cleaning agents in the soap will go to dissolving the road film and the dirt on the car. Suds and foam has a cleaning ability, dwell time, so it lasts longer on the car, plus it looks cool. You know, so you get your kids involved. If I was detailing full-time when I was mobile, I would always be using a foam cannon or a foam gun, just because of the shock value for anybody that's in that area to see you cover a car in foam, and it may lead to a future customer, see? So, because I'll tell you, the first time I saw someone use a foam cannon, this would be about 15 years ago, got a picture of like a Lamborghini covered in white foam. And the thought that went through my head, besides, wow, that looks cool, was, wow, he's really getting the car clean.
Yeah, I could understand
Okay. Now, if you got a guy with a bucket and a mitt, you could go, well, he's getting clean too. Yeah, but the guy there with the foam on the car, he's really getting it clean. So if I was a potential customer, I want to go to the detailer who's really getting the car clean. Isn't that what detailing is, getting things clean? We know it's a lot more than that, but that's the masses. That's what they think. Detailing is getting things clean. You know, clean interior, clean glass.
Well, you got to think all the commercials that you always see on TV about, you know, covered with soap with, you know, bubbles everywhere, and always, you know, what is it, Mr. Bubble?
Yeah.
There's always the Mr. Bubble. So the bubbles make it clean. So it's been branded in your head. Just marketing over the years. That's.
Well, and this was always, you could always say that the foam guns and foam cannons were always kind of on the fringe for a lot of years, but a couple years ago at SEMA, I saw Jay Leno using one at a booth, and I thought, okay, they've gone mainstream now. As soon as Jay touches something, it's, you know, everybody wants it, so. Right. That's foam cannon, foam gun. I tell you, one of the things about this is, guess who has a really in-depth article on the foam gun?
I don't know. Let's see here. Could it be Mike Phillips?
It was me, yeah. So one of the things that I did is I took up pictures of all the components here and wrote an article, and I posted it. And the reason I did that was because there's one thing that's real key about this. It's this spring-loaded sprayer that comes with it. And here's the thing. Whenever you use this, you pull this back.
Let me get that.
Okay.
Up there?
Okay, can you see that where it's spring-loaded?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's so important that you pull this back, and when you release it, that slides all the way forward and locks on, because if it doesn't, if it's not on there and you pull the trigger, the pressure from the water hose will throw this onto your car.
Not good.
And you'll have a dent and a scratch and be buying a paint job. And so it's so important that you do that. And also, there's a metering rod here. And what's funny is when people see this, I'll turn it. Can you see the holes there?
Turn it that way just a little bit. No, the whole thing a little bit. You have the tip of the, there you go, right there.
See the holes there? So most of the people, when they look at this, they look at those holes. Those aren't the important holes. Those are the holes that are a little bearing what the spring presses against to lock that into position. The important holes, and this is kind of dirty, so I don't know if you can see them, are the ones on the other side. And you have little to big. And of course, what you do is you would adjust that metering rod so you could have a lot of foam or a little foam. Now, the funny thing about that is I've never met anybody that wants a little bit of foam. Everybody wants a lot of foam. So the people that make this, they should just get rid of the metering rod and just make one big hole there for tons of foam to go in the car. Anyway, cool tool, and use it all the time. Also can be used for claying, like if you want to use a synthetic clay mitt or clay towel, instead of using a clay lube, you just wash the car and rinse it, re-foam it, and now run the mitt or the towel over it.
That's a good tip.
Okay, so I got a couple of tools up here for cleaning wheels, you know. Gosh,
I hate cleaning wheels.
I hate cleaning wheels. And I probably have more how-to articles and probably even videos on cleaning wheels than anybody breathing. But here's what I tell people. A couple years ago, I taught a class at Mobile Tech Expo called the Top 10 Tools You Need to Start a Detailing Business. And most of them were car washing tools. They weren't the Miele or the PE14 cordless rotary, because when you're first starting out, the thing you're doing the most is washing cars. You're gonna wash someone's car, you're gonna throw wax on it, and you're done. You aren't getting into all the real high-end stuff because you're starting out, you're learning, you're building a foundation. So what I taught in this class is I go, look, if you're gonna wash a lot of cars, that means wheels and tires, you can do this one of two ways. You can do it the slow, hard way or the fast, easy way. And the fast, easy way means having good wheel cleaning tools that are gonna hold up. And then what came from that is people ask me, well, Mike, which one should I get? Because these are the two most popular. The Speedmaster, the Speedmaster wheel brush, or the Woolies brush. And I always say, well, it's not one or the other, it's both. You need them both. Okay, so this one, pretty obviously, because the bristles, they're 2 inches long and they're flexible, they will get into tight areas, okay, to scrub and get everything clean. And because you can flex it and bend it, now you can get around the spokes for all of us out there that it's important to us that the backside of our spokes are just as clean as that. It's ridiculous. It's called OCD. Or around brake calipers. So very functional. Comes in 2 different sizes. Also great for cleaning other things like in the engine compartment.
Motorcycles.
But and you can do the barrels with this, but I tell you, if you get a customer's car and they haven't cleaned the front wheels on a BMW for 10 years, you want the wheel Woolies, okay? And here's why. This is like this polyester, this fiberglass handle. You don't put it into the wheel, you know, and rub like this. That's how you use that. You take it like this. And you can,
somebody please get a screenshot
you
of
can
that.
push this down like really hard and scrub the heck out of them and get in there and get it over with so you can get to the next wheel. You got 4 to do. You want to get it over with. So you don't want crappy brushes. You want good brushes that'll get the job done, that'll last for a long time. And of course, then you can get these other smaller ones for getting into tight corners and tight areas. This is also a cool tool. It's also the same idea as the wheel Woolies, only look, you can put it on a brush.
Look at that.
The thing about this is really, for most cars, I'd say it's best for the back wheels. It'll work on the front wheels, but it just depends on how much gap there is between the edge of the rotor and the barrel of the rim. And of course, you can't get too close around the calipers themselves. But when you can use it, it's really cool. Plus, it's
Just
a power
work
tool.
smart. Work smart.
Tim the...
Two-man Taylor.
you know, tools. It's a tool. Okay, so those are wheel cleaning brushes. Here's a couple other brushes that I like to share. I told Yancy before we started this class, if I didn't work here at Autogeek, I'd probably start a business where I did nothing but sell this brush. It is such a cool brush. I show this for all kinds of
hold
things.
It still for a sec.
This is the Wheel Woolies. God, let me get all the words. It's got like 10 words in the name. The Wheel Woolies black wheel face brush. It's boar's hair wheel face brush. Yeah. The Wheel Woolies black boar's hair wheel face brush. That's like 7 words in one name. But the thing about this is so many of the brushes that you can go buy, the bristles are either so limp that they're useless or they're so stiff they're scratchy and pokey. And this is just like the perfect blend. You know, the Goldilocks analogy. It's like the perfect brush. Now you're thinking, okay, well that's it's $35, right? Okay, but that's just for the wheels. No, it's also for engine detailing and interior detailing, for getting into the grills. I mean, there's just so many places you'll use this. I would always recommend having 2 or 3 of them, because if you're gonna have one that you use on interior, you might wanna
Not put the wheel stuff on it.
Well, you don't want the wheel stuff on it, and also for engine detailing, you know what, you kind of keep them separated. Awesome brush. You know, I've been recommending this ever since I worked at Autogeek, or since it was invented. I've never met anybody that came up to me and says, yeah, Mike, you're wrong about that brush. It's a great brush. This is the Ragtop Hearts Company convertible top brush. Now, this was specifically made to clean canvas tops. It has 2-inch long bristles that are kind of like this in that they're not too stiff or too limp that it makes the brush useless. The ends have been flagged, they've been split so they're not pokey, so it won't tear up the canvas. And it is the perfect brush for cleaning a canvas top. But guess what else you can use this for?
It's 1,000,001 different things.
Interior, engine, wheels, just about anything. But the thing is if you're gonna start using it for other things, take a felt marker and mark it. You don't wanna be taking something you use on wheels or in the engine and then take it to someone's tan canvas top.
All right, quick question right there, since we're on brushes. I have Sean Daves. He just has a nice little question that feeds right in here. What is the best brush for wheel wells?
Wheel wells. You know, the
Mother's
one
makes a good one.
The one I show is the Mother's. Yeah, the Mother's wheel well brush. And I show that for cleaning the back of the hood when you're doing engine, because it'll reach way out to the back of the hood. Mother's makes a great wheel well brush. And when it comes to cleaning the cloth, fender wells,
I hate those new things.
I hate that stuff. So whoever invented that idea, it's a great idea. It makes your car real quiet inside. It's insulation, but they never detail the car. Yeah. Okay.
Stop.
Yeah, but you're still back to like the Mother's wheel well brush.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things I used to do when I detailed full time was I always have a floor jack around. When it comes to cleaning wheel wells, find the lift point on the front of a car and just don't lift it off the ground, but just lift the body up. Now you can get into the wheel wells.
Good tip.
I think if you went to Google and typed in the lazy man's way to clean wheel wells, Mike Phillips, you'll find my article with my pictures on that. Okay, I'm going to jump over to air tools real quick, but before I do that, I want to show this tool right here. This is the Tornador Velocity Vac. This is the coolest thing. I read a lot of people's comments. It's one of those tools where some people love it, some people hate it. I actually really like it.
And hold on, let me just pan out that.
But it has,
the hose goes down to the vacuum.
Yeah, we got a shop vac down here.
Yeah, just wanted to show that that's not just going anywhere.
And you also have to have, remember we talked about an air compressor, a big one?
Yeah.
Here, hold on. Air compressor.
Hold on, let me, this is just kind of in the way. All right, I just want to get that out of the way because
okay.
that way you can be right there.
Okay, and then, see, the thing you got to understand about this is a lot of guys, they take a vacuum, say like this, they're vacuuming some carpet, and they're vacuuming, you know, like this. Nice, smooth strokes, right? That's how you vacuum. Get it in everywhere. That's not how you use this. You use what I call the wild man technique. You just go nuts with this thing. You put it inside on the floor somewhere and you just go all over the place. Because what it's going to do is this.
Hold on, let me get up close.
It's like the Tornador blowout gun and the other Tornador car cleaning guns here. So it's got this spindle that spins around at a high speed, blasting air in a tornado or hurricane effect. And so it's disrupting just everything.
Man, I can feel that all the way back here.
And at the same time, you're vacuuming, you're sucking everything out. And if you sit here and try to make these nice, long, straight, it's just going to dry, it's not going to work very good. What you want to do is something like this. And you just be amazed at how effective a non-technique is for getting things clean. And here's where this thing really comes in handy. By the way, you also got to turn on the vacuum.
And we do have a video using this, which that isn't plugged in.
It's not plugged in. But here's where this really comes in handy, especially like where we live. There's beach, so there's beach sand, sand in carpet.
Hate it.
Salt in carpet.
Hate it.
Anything that's embedded down into the carpet weave, this is going to blow it around and suck it out. And I'll tell you, you know, detailers like us, we're so OCD. We want to get every last grain of sand out of the carpet. Your expectations are too high. Just get most of it and move on. You know, if you want to get it all out, replace the carpet and don't ever go to the beach again. That's how that works.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. Okay, so anyway, the Tornador Velocity Vac.
Now, how does that work with dog hair and stuff like that?
You know, it works okay, but there's other tools that work better than that.
Okay.
You're going to spend way too much time trying to pull. The problem with dog hair, especially like long dog or even short dog hair, or I guess if you took your cat on the road, cat hair, is it intertwines with the weave of the fiber that it's stuck into, whether that's a seat, you know, fabric or usually carpet fabric. And so you need something that actually kind of grabs it and yanks it. And for that, this tool here works really good. This is the Mini Pet Detailer. It's a rubber brush with a plastic handle. And what it does is the rubber just grabs the hair and yanks it. Now you still got to take your hand and pull the hair off of it.
Then vacuum it. And stuff.
Yeah, and then vacuum it and get it out of there. I mean, that's the biggest thing, but it just works really good. Every detailer that does interior should have one or two of these always with them at all times. Okay, so that's the Lily brand, by the way. Okay, so now we're talking about the Tornador Velocity Vac. Now let's talk about the Tornador car cleaning guns.
More air tools.
Now, the thing I want to show about these is...
could you move the vac, the sidekick out of the way?
Yes, let me show the sidekick. Another great
Put
tool.
it over onto the left side. Well, my left, your right. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me just show you these tools. These are great tools. These are primarily for, think about it like this. If any place you would take an all-purpose cleaner and spray and wipe, or spray and brush and then wipe, this is where you'd use this kind of tool, because you can mix just about any kind of cleaning fluid you want in there. But the thing about this tool is, and I don't understand this, Tornador, if you're watching this video, you just got to do yourself a big favor. When you buy these, a lot of times when people buy stuff, they don't know all the other options available. They just don't know. You know, they're click, add shopping cart, check out, they get it at home, they use it, and they go, it works pretty good. But here's how these things work great. They come with this cleaning cone with no bristles on the end from the factory. Take it off, throw it away. You could buy the optional cleaning cone with the bristles. And all you got to do is use this one time and you go, oh, gee, genius. So now, and by the way these things work, while I have this off, let me just show you. It's the same idea of the Velocity Vac there. You've got this spindle here.
Hold on, let me get up.
It's going to spin in a circle. I got hardly any air pressure coming here. And it's going to create a Tornador effect and agitate whatever it is you're trying to clean, plus spray it with your cleaning fluid. When you add the bristles, what that does is instead of just having a cone here pushing stuff around, now you've got the cone, but you've got the bristles agitating. Then you agitate it, then you give it a wipe, twice as clean. So if you're going to buy one of these, spend the money and get the extra cone. I don't know what it is, 10, maybe 20 bucks. And you got the bristles on the end, and you can get them for both the Tornador Black and the Tornador White.
Now, what's the difference between the white and the black?
Oh gosh, great question.
That's why I'm here.
Let me show you the same idea behind the Tornador blowout guns. Okay, so if I take and pull this off of here, let me just do this real quick. We'll show you the innards, the guts, and then we'll turn them on and let you hear the difference, and you'll be impressed.
Was your air on, or is it?
I think it's on.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the difference between the Tornador Black and White on either the car cleaning guns or the blowout guns. This one has a little nylon tube that's going to spin in a circle.
Here, turn it sideways so that way I can see the difference. There you go. The white is on the top, people. The black is on the bottom.
Little nylon tube that's going to spin in a circle. The Tornador Black has a steel spindle with the bearing in it. And you go, well, that won't make much of a difference. No, hold on. Wait till you hear the difference.
No, wait, there's more.
Okay, put this back on. And notice both of mine have the cones with the bristles. Gosh, these are like some of my favorite tools. I use these.
Trust me, people, he uses those for everything, for blowing out his shirt, doing anything, everything.
Everything. Okay, so here's the Tornador White. And that's very effective. It cleans.
All right, here, let me get what it looks like coming down. Point. Hold on, right there. Stop it. Now do it. Okay, thank you. Now the black.
Okay, that's the white. And here's the difference with the steel spindle on a bearing.
You can hear it. It's like a turbo. And I can feel that more over here than I could the other one.
It's going nuts in there, and it's going to go nuts on whatever you aim it at.
Okay, thank you.
Tons of power. In fact, I can use this to clean.
And I know you guys can't do it. There's no field vision here, but when the difference between the two is I actually felt the stream. I'm what, a good 15 feet away from you?
At least 15.
15 feet away from him, and I could feel the pressure of the air moving towards me harder with the black one than with the white.
Yeah, so that's the difference between Tornador Black. One has a nylon spindle, no bearing. The other one has a steel spindle with a bearing, and the speed is just dramatic. It's like putting a turbocharger or a twin turbocharger on a car. Okay, we already talked about the wheel cleaner.
You didn't do the Sidekick. Why don't you grab the Sidekick?
The Sidekick.
It's right next to you. There it is.
Okay, great tool. David Stern over at Metroback, so nice. He sponsors my my classes, and I give a couple of these away as door prizes all the time. And here's what I tell people, you know, when you have this, if you don't have an air compressor, you still need moving air. And this thing is small and it deceives you because you think, well, that can't have any power to it. And when you turn this thing on, can you grab me a power?
Yeah, hold on.
When you turn this thing on, here's what I do in my classes. I turn it on, I have everybody hold their hand out and they feel the air. They go, their eyes go big. Wow, that's a lot of air pressure. It is, it's a ton of air pressure. And there's just so many things you can use this for. I'll tend to blow out a car before I'll get the vacuum out. If I can blow all this stuff out, I'll use this. Now, it's got a little foam filter in the back of it. So it filters the air before it blows it. It gets into the motor. And it doesn't intentionally heat it up, but by the time the motor heats up, it does actually heat the air up. And you could, it's kind of too small to like use to blow a car off, but I see guys do it all the time.
It works great for motorcycles.
But it's just got a ton of power. Anyway, it's a great way to get compressed air for about $100, you know, and you can plug it in wherever you go to. And a lot of times, you know, even if you had air compressor, you can't take it everywhere you go. So the Metroback Sidekick, an amazing tool. Wouldn't want to be without it. One of my top 10 favorite tools. It comes with a couple different nozzle ends here. I only ever use this cone-shaped one, but it is nice. You know, if you hit something on the car by accident, like you're blowing out all the cracks and crevices, the emblems, the lug nut barrels, getting the water out of those things, it won't scratch anything. So just a really nice tool. In fact, when we were setting up, you know, I pulled everything out and then I used it to blast out all the dust bunnies and dead bugs and things of that nature. It's like a vacuum up, get the place clean. So cool little tool. And in fact, it's another tool where, you know, I've been showing it ever since I've been here, so 11 years. I've never had anybody come to me and say, you know, I bought one of those and I was really disappointed.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
No, it's a nice tool to have.
You're just always like, oh man, that thing is the best little thing I've ever bought.
The thing I like though is, until we got the next thing, what I would do is I would tape my ends, my plugins together. But that's gonna lead me to this. This is so cool. This is the Pro-Lock extension cord. Now what makes this cord unique, there's a couple of things about it. Most guys only show you one thing, and that's the fact that when you plug something into it, it's got a spring-loaded lock mechanism so it won't pull unplugged. Okay, it's secure. It's not going to come unplugged, and that's pretty cool. But there's also a light that lights up in
the blue one.
Oh, it is lit up. Yes. Okay. There is a light in the end of this thing. Look how that's a vibrant fluorescent chartreuse green. Okay.
Chartreuse green.
Chartreuse. I can't say that word. It's green. See how nice that looks? That's telling me I'm getting a full 110 volts, okay? If that is amber, that means you've got a short or something's wrong. You're not getting full power to here. Don't be plugging in your expensive $200, $300, $400 tool into this thing, okay? It's 12 gauge extra heavy duty wiring. So you're gonna get the full flow of volts and amperage to your tools. And again, it's not gonna come unlocked if you pull on it too hard. So you're not going to be one of these guys that I always see doing this. So Yancy, you're a culprit of this.
No, I am not.
Okay. So when you don't have something like this, guys do one of two things. Either take and they do this, right? There's two methods of doing this, and they're both Billy Bob. Okay, there's that method, okay? Then you plug it in. That keeps it from coming unplugged as you're yanking it around a car. Or you do the shoestring style, the bow, where you go like this and pull it up, and then you plug it in like this. Okay. And then you pull this all around the car. Yeah. So, you know.
That's a trip hazard.
Well, it is a trip hazard, especially for me. And so with this system here, you know, and I always recommend, you don't have to, but I recommend take the spring pressure off the locking mechanism before you plug it in, and then release it. You can't just push it in there, okay?
Yeah, it does. You don't have to pull it back to put it in. You just have to pull it back to remove it, that's all.
But it's a secure plug-in. So anyway, they're called the Pro-Lock. We have them here at Autogeek. And then if you are OCD, like most detailers, one of the nice things about this is it has a very nice shiny nylon casing on here. You can wipe it down and it stays clean for a long time. Most of your cords, you know what they look like after a while.
They look grubby.
Pretty grubby, pretty gross. Not that that's a big deal, but again, we deal with a very OCD crowd here at Autogeek.
Well, I think so every detailer is an OCD crowd.
The Pro-Lock, except for me, I'm really not that OCD. Okay, Swirl finder lights.
We are about done here with the tools, people. We will be getting to your questions. I know this is an hour and 15 minutes into it, so we're almost done with the tools.
I'll speed up because we're almost done here. Okay, swirl finder lights. Hey, the swirl finder lights are good for a number of different reasons. One is so you can see the level of defects in a customer's car, so you know what you're getting into. You can also show the customer the level of defects. Say it's winter and it's cloudy outside. Car pulls in, you can't see no swirls. You need something to reveal the swirls to yourself or to a customer. Another good use for these is to look for high points for coatings, you know, so you put a coating on, say the hood of a car, you got your ambient light, that's okay because the light's shining down the hood, but what about when you get to the doors and the sides of the fenders or the front and the back of the car? A lot of times you don't have enough ambient light shining down to look for high spots, and what happens if you don't remove a high spot on a ceramic coating?
Oh, you're going to be polishing again, or you're going to be compounding
You're going to
again.
be sometimes compounding to get that off, so you need good inspection lights to inspect your own work. And you could also use it for like if you used a car wax or a synthetic sealant to make sure you got all the smears off so the customer doesn't find them. So swirl finder lights come in really handy for not only defect removal or inspection, also to inspect your work to see if you got the defects out to your level of expectation, but also to inspect your own work to make sure you've removed any high spots or wax smears. I'm sure there's other uses for them too, like if you get into, we use them all the time when we shoot videos.
No, yeah,
light up
the inside of a car.
light up the inside of a car. This is the scan grip, I think they call this the eye view. I call it the disease transfer device. Because everybody who puts it on their forehead is now going to give me their disease. These are really a personal item. You don't want to share this. But you put this on and I'll tell you, here's where you use this. You use this when you're using the Velocity Vac and you're doing the interior of a car. Because a lot of times you open up, you're on your knees, you open up the doors, you're going to vacuum out one side, the driver's side, passenger side, back seats. It's dark in there. You light it up, now you can see everything you're trying to vacuum out. So very cool. I know some guys use these for doing swirl and defect removal as they're buffing, but I find them better for interior work. This is a really nice one. This is the Griots. One of the things about the Griots is it's got this really nice LED panel here.
And it's magnetic too, isn't it?
It's magnetic too on the base, and so is the Speedmaster light. This also has 3 different color spectrums, which is actually really interesting and helpful. I find this LED really works good for high spot identifying or for revealing. So I like to go around the car and just use it to light up the side of a car. This here, I primarily would use this for swirls. Let's see if there's any swirls in the
oh God, really? We're
in
gonna
the
do that?
paint finish. Of the,
Are you sure? There's chips and probably everything in that one.
can you,
Oh yeah, there's. Yeah, we really needed to show that. That poor Sidekick's been used and abused.
And of course, the larger lights you can get, like the scan grip here on roll around, you can adjust the height, you can light up the side of a car. So great lights help you to do better work and avoid coming back for places that you missed. These are the cover-up towels that Yancy wanted me to share. If you go to Google and type in the beach towel tip, okay, the beach towel tip, Mike Phillips, you'll pull my article, and that's where these things actually came from. All my life when I detailed cars, a lot of times I use the towel to cover things up. I'd use a beach towel because beach towels just tend to be very big. And what Autogeek did is they brought out this extra large microfiber towel, and it's just used to cover things up. I got all kinds of articles. I use them to cover up canvas tops. If we're not going to drop the top on a convertible and we're going to do the paint correction, if you're not careful or if you're teaching a class and someone lifts their polish in there, they're going to throw splatter dots all over the canvas. Now instead of buffing out a car, you're taking a toothbrush to canvas, and you're probably going to fray the fibers. So it's faster to tape and cover that kind of stuff up.
Be safe.
And save time. I used it on I got a picture of working on this car. It's a 1951 Studebaker, I can't think, Starlight Coupe. But it's got fuel injectors coming out of the scoop, right? So I didn't want to throw splatter dots on that, so I covered them up, put the hood back down, buffed out the paint around them. So there's all kinds of places you can use a cover-up towel. And then the good news is you take and you wash them, dry them, reuse them, eco-friendly.
Ah, there you go. All right, and I think we're down just to last couple ones.
Okay, so you need a place to put all your stuff. This is a real popular detailing bag that we sell. It's got these pockets. It's got storage on the inside. If you're turning it around, it's got little hidden storage down here. I usually keep pads in here, like you can can get about 9 or 10 pads in there. It's got more storage on the sides. It's logoed, it looks good. It keeps all your stuff from rolling all around the trunk. Whether you're a detailer or if you're an enthusiast, you'd like to keep some of that stuff in your trunk, this is a great bag to have. I tell you, one of the things people should always have in their car, if you're OCD about your paint, is some kind of spray detailer and some clean microfiber towels. So when you go to the game and you walk back out to your car and you find a bird is left dropping in the middle of your hood, you have something that's clean and a liquid to liquefy it and get it off the car before it etches the paint. Love bugs would be another example, but you need a place to store that stuff so it's not rolling all around in your trunk. So there's the Autogeek storage bag.
And you also could use a 5-gallon bucket too, as a part where you can put stuff too.
Then here is the belt. And my favorite thing to keep in the belt is my phone. I know most guys are thinking they're going to keep their detailing tools in there, but the way you use the belt is obviously, you know, you've got all these pockets here and you could put this on you and latch it, and then instead of running all over the place grabbing your tools, they're right there in your pocket as you're detailing a car. I would say the best use for this is if you're detailing, doing production detailing or detailing large items like RVs, the B-24 bombers.
Yeah, if you're going up and down instead of... Then another thing too is that also can be put onto a 5-gallon bucket, so you can have all your stuff right around a 5-gallon bucket as like a cool
Keep everything there.
Yeah.
So a convenience item is what that is. Here's what I like. I like to take some of the pockets off and keep my phone on me, because if someone's calling me, like they want to get their car detailed, I don't want to miss the call. I can either feel it vibrate or I hear it ring. It's right there by me, and it's not getting damaged. I can't tell you how many times I've had the glass replaced on the phone. So anyway, I think we covered everything, didn't we?
I do believe so.
Okay, any questions?
Let me... Yeah, we covered that.
That's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff. I mean, and we're not trying to, you know, make this as a sale video. We just wanted to show you some tools. But the nice thing about Autogeek is that we do sell all this stuff. So, self-plug there. But, all right, stay there. And now what we're going to do is... It is time for your questions. And you ask, we answer. And oh my God, you guys wrote a lot over here. You should see the comments.
Speed round.
This is definitely a speed round. There's a ton of comments in here. All right, I'm going to go quick, people, on these. So
first name only.
Yeah, first name only.
Jim.
Jim. Everybody's Jim. Well, hi, Rommel. Thank you for tuning in Dubai. It's 11 p.m. in Dubai. Let's learn something. We got one from Sinaloa, Mexico. Wax spreaders. Somebody, Functional Doc owned one of the wax spreaders.
Those tools, we talking wax. We call them the TOB, or the traditional orbital.
Hey, you can't keep moving around, Army.
Okay.
All right, here. How about that? You stand over there.
Okay.
You just stand right there.
This is a wax spreader. That's what he meant. And you know, here's the deal. Back in the old days, the problem with this is it has this huge bonnet. It's got one speed, on and off. It's kind of slow. It's random orbital, so it's not gear driven. Back in the old days, these were pretty good if you're working on like a 1952 Chevy. Big flat panels, single stage paint. What happens with single stage paint?
Oh, it gets
oxidizes. Okay, so you take this bonnet, you throw a little compound on there, turn it on, it chews the oxidation off. Switch to another bonnet, throw some turtle wax on there, put the wax on. That was the process. With clear coats, because they're so hard, this size, the speed is just too ineffective. So the only thing they're really good for modern cars is if you got a car with a great finish, to spread a coat of wax. So that's why they're called a wax spreader. But in the old days, they were efficient at doing paint correction, but we had single stage paint, and the problem with single stage was oxidation. The problem with base coat clear coats is swirls. Two different kind of problems.
All right, here we go. Moving on. Michael. He has an Alfa Romeo Giulia. Guardardo,
Julia, yeah, Alfa Romeo Giulia.
All right, the hood and roof is carbon fiber. Any suggestions for a polisher like the best? Rupes size?
Oh, you know, any of the smaller polishers would be fine. You know, carbon fibers, you know, either the material, underlying panel, or if it's finished in carbon fiber, you still want to treat it just like car paint. So, you know, first thing that's most important is abrasive technology, then choose the right pad and the tool for the job you want to do. You know, but yeah, Rupes Mark III Bigfoot 15 would be a good tool for that.
Okay. Does Mike have any early access to the GR3 3-inch mini polisher? We haven't got that
yeah,
yet.
next week it'll be here.
Yeah, next week it'll be here.
Yeah, Rod Craft is bringing a couple down here for my class. So if you're attending the class, you'll be one of the first classes to use the new mini rotaries from Griot's Garage.
All right. Hi, Thomas.
And I'm going to make Rod leave one here, by the way.
I don't know what happened to two of those polishers, but they must have walked off. All right, we did that question while we were doing it. That was about the 1521, the benefits of it. The Porter cable, kind of stroke does it have? Somebody might have
8 millimeter.
And that's a random orbit?
Random orbital, free spinning. Yep. Nice little tool.
Okay, let's go to David Brown. Are there any of the machines on the market brushless yet?
Yeah, Flex has a number of brushless tools on the market. I'm standing by one right now. Here's the Sea Beast. This is a brushless tool. Over here is the Finisher. This is also a brushless tool.
Okay.
No brushes. Next week, before my class starts, Chris Metcalf will be here, and we're going to make a video on how to replace the brushes in the Beast. So look forward to that video.
Oh, I like this question. Theodore, do you feel that 21 millimeter machines wear down pads faster and overheat certain pads and cause collapsing of center sections of certain foam pads?
No, I think people use too many foam pads when they're buffing, and that's why they wear out prematurely.
You mean not use enough foam pads?
Yeah, get more pads.
Okay.
Switch out pads more often.
Okay.
One pad, in a perfect world, when you're doing correction work, one pad per panel. Okay, so a two-door car has 9 panels. Roof, hood, trunk lid, fender, door, fender, fender, door, fender. That's 9 panels, 9 pads. So you could probably cut it down to 6, but you shouldn't be trying to do the correction work with 2 pads.
Okay, that makes total sense.
It just wears the pads out, overheats them.
All right, Rusty, I have 2 cars, 2020. I have no idea what cars you have. New to polishing, what tools do you recommend? Start with
If you're brand new, check out the Griot's G9.
Yeah,
Can you pan over here to see how many I got over here against the wall? I've got 10 for the class, and the one thing I just want to show about them is all of them have a 5-inch backing plate on them. They come from the factory with a 6-inch. Okay, so guess who has a full review and how-to for the new tool?
You.
Me. Okay, and what I say in the review is when you buy it, there's nothing wrong with that 6-inch backing plate, but if you switch over to the 5-inch, you can now churn and turn smaller diameter pads. And you really, when you're starting out, you don't want to be using big pads. Smaller pads fit body panels better. So when you buy one of these, do like I do. Buy the optional 5-inch backing plate, hold on to the 6-inch, but here's what you do then. You start investing all your money into smaller pads. If you don't spend the 20 bucks for the smaller backing plate, you will start spending all your money on big pads, and my guess is later on you'll regret it. You'll go, gee, I wish I would have taken Mike's advice and bought the smaller backing plate, and then I would have spent 200 bucks on smaller pads.
Okay.
Because your pads are going to be your next big investment after the tool.
Okay, stay there. That way I'm only one man with 2 arms here.
With some DNA, we can fix that.
We can fix that.
Yeah, so the right DNA
the Udos,
tools.
Yeah. Scott, we will have a video. We do have a video up on YouTube we had Ivan here where we really went into depth on the Udos. We just don't have it here because it's being shipped in for his class. Neil White, I'm sorry that you had to go through that hurricane. Hopefully everything is okay, and anybody else that is affected by that. Us living in South Florida, we know all about hurricanes, so we hopefully it dodged you. Okay, what polisher would I buy for thinner parts of a car? 8 millimeter? Depends on how small those parts are.
Yeah, the easy answer for that would be to go ahead and get the G8.
Okay, you stay there.
Okay.
No more moving.
Get the G8 because you can get it comes with a 3-inch backing plate. You can buy a 2-inch backing plate, and you can knock out thin panels all day long with this thing. Very, very nice. So also great for headlight sanding. A bunch of other different things you can do with it. A lot of power, man. That's a lot. That tool has more power than you need for the size pads that it uses.
I don't know anything about this. Do you know anything about this? Any news on the new Rupes iMag sander coming out?
Yeah, I saw it's up on our website, so it says coming soon, but it's usually a triangle head.
Oh, they had
that.
They had that at a SEMA. I remember it. Okay, yeah.
I think that's more for guys that are into woodworking.
Yeah.
I'm sure some guy in the car world will put a foam pad on it and buff something out with it.
I'm sure that they will. Let's go to Blake. Do you like the 3401 better over the Melee? Is it quieter and have less vibration than Melee?
You know, I'll be real honest, I am a beast guy, but ever since Rupes introduced their new contour profile pads, I really like those pads on the Melee. When they first launched the Melee, can I walk over there, Yancy? When they first launched the Melee, they came out with these, you know, I'll use the word uber thin pads. Let me grab one that's really nice here, and I'll grab the new one. Here's the new one.
Then go to where the forced ones are at.
Okay. So when they first launched the Melee, you know, the Melee came out with these super, I'd call them a wafer pad. They're just thin, okay?
They're very tiny.
Compared to the Bigfoot pad, look how different they
here,
are.
let me get close on that.
Look how the difference there.
Focus.
And I personally just
That's like half the size.
at least. And I was using the traditional Bigfoot pads on the Melee. So I just felt it kind of yanked me around too much. Now they brought out this is the contour profile pad. It's got this real nice contour. What happens is as you put pressure or go up on edge, this can kind of go around the backing plate and it just conforms to the panel. And it's kind of in between. It's not too thin, it's not too thick. It's the Goldilocks analogy again. And I just think that makes the tool a lot more user-friendly for whatever you're trying to buff out and as far as the feel you get as you're buffing things out with it. I also much prefer the Melee with the large size backing plate, not the small. You got
I like the trigger.
Yeah, you got two options for the Melee. But jumping up to the larger pad and the larger backing plate, I find it a lot more user-friendly. But I also feel that way about the Beast and the Super Beast. I don't use the bigger pads on the Sea Beast just because I think they wear the battery down too fast. You know, so I like the smaller pads.
Okay, this kind of goes to another question before. I was under the impression all the Flex are made in Germany, are they not?
They're all made in Germany. The tools are manufactured in Germany.
Do me a favor, check the PXE, the Pixie.
Yeah, I do not know about this one.
Okay, so we don't know about the Pixie.
This is the new one. And with my contacts in, I can't really see that tiny
I probably
writing.
should have went over there.
Yeah.
But I mean, we went to the plant and all of them that were made there, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, all right. Go back over to where the place. All right. Then.
But it's Flex quality no matter what.
Yeah, no.
Well, I love my Pixies. I think I'm on my 4th Pixie. I keep giving them away. I'm sad I don't have my original one. I had an unnumbered one from Flex. It's gone.
Okay, Neil White, I'd love to hear a discussion about soft paint versus hard paint. That is a good idea for a video.
Maybe we can get 2 cars in here,
That's
one with hard paint, one with soft paint.
That's what I'm thinking, is that way we can turn around and show it.
Yeah.
Another one, I'd like to see a live class on ceramic coatings, the cones, the application, how to maintain. I think that would be another one.
My newsletter that went out today has a link to an article on how to carefully wash a ceramic coated car. That's how you maintain it. You carefully wash it.
Okay, then another one, I'd like to see examples of color sanding with the DA tool, which we are going to do a wet sanding live. We will do that, so that is definitely coming. We already answered that one. Color versus wet sanding.
That's easy. Color sanding is if you're working on single stage. Wet sanding would be working on base coat clear coat. The term color sanding came from when you sanded a car back in the old days that didn't have a clear coat. You would see the color of the paint coming off in your slurry, and they would call it color. Look at the blue slurry, it's color sanding. And then when we went to base coat clear coats, people still call it color sanding, but it's also just called wet sanding or damp sanding. And now when you sand clear, it turns milky white. When you scratch something clear, it turns it opaque. So that's why when you wet sand a clear coated car, it looks like milk water.
Yeah, it's like, I know when I paint, and if I'm doing a motorcycle or there's some signs that I'm doing now, that I'll wet sand in between right before I go to my clear coat, so that way it's totally glossy when I don't have no orange peel starting there. So that's where you can really tell the difference between color sanding.
And I think I got an article, if you typed in color sanding versus wet sanding, Mike Phillips, it has the definition of all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's in your book too. If you could buy only one tool, what type of tool would cover all situations?
Wow, that's a good question.
That's a loaded question.
And you know what? Over the years, people ask me that all the time, and I always say I don't live in that theoretical or hypothetical world. So I would choose, if I had to choose just 2 tools, I'd probably choose a rotary and a short stroke free spinning, because I could do everything. I can wet sand with that. I can pull out wet sanding marks with this. I can do heavy correction with that. I can pull holograms out with that. So I'd go with the short stroke and a rotary. And if I could have a third tool, I'd go with rotary, short stroke, and then a gear-driven orbital.
So he totally dodged that question. He wouldn't give you just one tool.
Yeah. So
okay.
if I just had to
well played, Mike. Well
if I just had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Supa Beast.
Okay. Now let's go on. We're getting a little late. When will the new 3401 be available?
It's available now.
No, it's already available.
Yeah, it's been available for a year or 2. I'm confident I have more how-to articles and pictures of it than anybody breathing.
Okay, Cyclo with the brushes are awesome for upholstery. Yes, they are. Then also, what's another cool thing that you can do with those brushes? You can put them in on your porta-cable, can you not?
Yeah, they fit the porta-cable, they fit the Griot's G9, the Meguiar's MT, anything with a 5/16 spindle, threaded spindle.
This one. Jay, I definitely would like Mike to show me how to use my Makita 9227C rotary. That thing scares me. Just get out there and do it.
You know, the trick to learning to use a rotary buffer, and what he's talking about is the full size, the big dog in the Makita line. I have some outside. We quit selling them, so I don't show them anymore. They were a slow mover. Good tool, just, people are buying other things nowadays. But the trick to that is to start out using small pads. Don't jump up to the big 8, 9-inch wool pads. Get something like the Rupes. Where did my Rupes wool pad? Oops.
Whoa, hey, don't fall over.
Get a small backing plate, and it's going to feel awkward on a big tool, but it's a lot easier to control a small buffing pad on a rotary than a big buffing pad with its foam or wool. So just start out with some smaller pads. In my class, my 3-day class, the number 11 and 12 cars. So the first 2 days, my class will buff out 12 cars in 2 days. And we start out with these tools and we work this way. So we start out with the entry-level tools, go to the long strokes, go to the gear-driven, then we go to rotaries. By the time they go to the rotaries, if there's people that are here that are new, they've got a pretty good foundation to build on. If they have seasoned detailers, they've either learned new stuff or they've established that what they've been doing for years has been the right way. Then we get to the rotaries, and I start these guys out with 5-inch foam pads. And if you've never used a rotary, it's pretty easy to do, So, yeah. But that way they have confidence, because Sunday when they come in, we start out wet sanding, and after we're done wet sanding, we're going to throw wool pads on rotaries and pull out sanding marks. That's probably one of the most complicated things to do, because you got to do it without burning through the edges or raised points or high points. And most of the time I bring street rods in here with fresh paint jobs, so I can't have newbies making mistakes.
Okay, let's move on. Can you use the edge on a flex or other buffers, or is it strictly for the rotary?
No, you can. I do it all the time.
Okay.
Go to Google and type in.
While you're thinking, I'm moving down.
It's my article on making a tool dance on paint. It's got pictures of me using Rupes and Flex on edge. Okay, there's things you got to do. One of the things you got to do is you got to quit holding a tool like this and start holding it like this, so you can see what's going on where you're buffing. I think that backing plate's worn out. Okay,
maybe a class on bug removal. Well, once love bugs come back around, we'll have a very good candidate car. This guy, I like Jason Davis. I foam my car and all my neighbors walk up to say that. You're making that thing look really clean. See? Marketing. Now start charging them.
Yeah, the love bug thing is we sell a thing here called Bug Blocker.
Yeah.
So before you drive where there's going to be love bugs, plaster this stuff all over the front of your car and avoid the whole problem.
Then it washes off.
It just washes off.
Oh, Dustin, I like this one. Maybe a class on jeweling waxes for show cars.
I like that idea.
I like that idea too.
Yeah.
They got some big pine over here. That's where it counts. Very good. Wheels and windows are the most annoying things to get. Yeah, well, I hate windows too. That was Neil White. Windows and wheels. Anything starts with a W. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, they're just not fun. We did that glass polishing class a couple weeks ago and pulling scratches out.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and now we need to do one on removing drizzle stains and water spots, which is...
Okay. I think somebody just had a question. I went over the top of it, or a suggestion. One of them was about water spots, so I think that'd be a good one. Let's go through. What is? Oh, I already asked that one.
If they get my newsletter, I sent out a link to a review for the new Rupes polishes and pads. It goes to a write-up I did on a 2020 Porsche, and part of that was polishing glass. So if you get my news, it's on the forum. So.
Oh, do you remember these? The Glassmaster cleaning sticks.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, no, I asked them, what are some of the tools that they use, and
I love the Glassmaster.
Yeah, you can reach in places where you never knew that you could reach into.
I got a really nice review and how-to for it too. Type in Glassmaster Mike Phillips, probably pull right up. It's on a Can-Am Corvette.
Fursoft. Great for removing pet hair. I want to have to look that one up. I just like the name, Fursoft.
Yeah, Fursoft.
Do you know what it is?
No, pumice stone works good too.
Yeah. Just trying to be able to see the replay. Henry, yes, I just joined in. Yeah, you'll be able to see the replay.
Don't take the dog anywhere in the car works good too.
Have you ever used, I got a couple of people saying that they use magic erasers. Have you ever used a magic eraser?
Yeah, magic erasers sometimes do some things that no other tool, pad, liquid product will fix. They're a miracle. They're just a miracle tool. I sometimes don't get, Sonax sells a magic eraser in the Sonax line. We carry them here at Autogeek. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, here, Thomas Kirby. Yes, thank you for saying this. For those tight wheel wells, use the Speedmaster wheel brush. I use it on my Charger. There's a place where I can't get in. So, yeah.
Speedmaster wheel is good. Good tool. It's what I always tell people, because it's usually like, which one should I get? You should have them both. Get the wheel Woolies, get the Speedmaster, then use the right tool for the job. What I actually show people is this. I'm going to walk over here, Yancy.
Thank you for telling me this time.
Okay, so here's what I show people to do. It's really simple, too. Most people, I don't see people doing this, but here's what I do.
Simple tip.
Dirty towels. Okay, I got 2 buckets here. You guys have seen this one. But here's this one. Okay, so when you go to wash a car, you don't want to mix your wheel cleaning brushes with your car wash mitt. So, and you're going to spray a wheel cleaner on the wheels, but it never feels right to take a dry brush onto wheel cleaner, so you want them wet. What works better is if they're wet and soapy. So mix up an extra gallon, bucket of car wash solution. Keep your wheel brushes in there, and then when you get your wheel cleaner on, then you can take your brush out and it's wet and it's soapy and it's ready to go. And then you can either rinse it off a little bit before you put it in here, or just dunk it back in here and go back to work. But then you pack this around to each 4 wheels on the car. But I also keep it marked like this just for video work. Same thing with this, it's just, I know what they are, but other people don't. So.
Okay, hold up right there. Francisco, how many gallons of air is enough to cover the carpets and mats with a Tornador? 60?
60-gallon air compressor. You need an air compressor that comes with a 60-gallon reserve tank, because that means the compressor is probably large enough to feed that air tool.
Yeah, if you use a smaller one, it's just you're going to wear your.
You're talking a low end to $800 at Harbor Freight and $1,500 at one of your major tool supply stores.
Hey, I like this guy. Randall, hi, boy. Passing you boys on Canner Highway. How are you watching and driving at the same time? Hopefully you're a passenger, Randall. That's funny. Boat detail here. Quick. Oh, all right. Randall Charles boat detail here. Back to Jupiter I go. All right, makes sense. There's where all the boats are at. These are awesome videos. You learn so much. Jay, thank you for the compliment. He's saying that these are awesome videos. You learn so much. Mike and Yancy are full of knowledge. Well, I learned everything from him. So he's the one that's full of knowledge.
It's a whole bunch of car detailing mishmash.
Is that it?
If you ever get...
This is a good one. This is a good one. Can you explain the strengths and weaknesses of the PXE and the Nano battery life accessing tight spaces? So let's just... We already did it. You can replay back to like the really part of it, but let's just get like battery life and.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I think from experience using the tools.
Oh, I got to turn. Hold on. Sorry.
This is no emotion towards either company.
Here, can you put the
love
back
both.
Down?
This?
Yeah.
I love both companies. I got friends that work at both companies. I've been fortunate that Rupes has taken me to Milan, Italy. I had a great time over there. Really had a hard time finding pizza with meat on it, but I did finally find it. I've been to Germany to the Flex plant, I think 3 times now. So I love these guys, and they make great tools, and they help us in the detailing world by making great tools. Here's what if you look at both these tools, they both have the rotary drive unit on it. You can tell because it's green, okay?
Right, hold on.
The 3mm and the 12mm are color-coded blue and red. I almost always use my nanos in rotary mode, okay? And that means 1-inch pads, or you can see I've got a brush on here for getting in and scrubbing things. And if you take care of your batteries, to be honest, I've never measured how long I get out of battery. I just haven't, because I got enough batteries, I swap them out. They also come with an AC adapter. If you don't want to mess the batteries, you can just plug it into the wall. But I do have a hard time maintaining pad rotation when they're in the 12mm and the 3mm random orbital free spin drive units on them, okay? I just do. But in rotary mode, it's gear driven. Man, these things are just, they're the bomb, okay? I use them all the time. If you've ever read any of my write-ups, I always stack up all the tools, all the pads, all the towels, and all the chemicals I use and put it in front of the car and take a picture. When it comes to the tools, you're gonna see this tool and this tool. You're gonna see them both. I don't use just one or the other. I use this for the rotary, and I have this one here set up with a 12mm free spinning random orbital polisher drive unit on it with a 3-inch backing plate, and I use this to go back in and pull any of the holograms out that the rotary mode puts in. So I use them both. You know, I do the correction work with this, I do the polishing work with this. And the cool thing about this is this will maintain pad rotation with a 3.5-inch pad on there. So this one excels where this one's weak, and this one excels where this one's weak. This one has a rotary drive unit. Here it is right here. You know, but it doesn't have that long reach neck like this one has. So I know nobody wants to hear this, buy both. But if you're not gonna buy both, then you're back to, we showed how to work by hand the other day ago.
Yes, yeah, last week.
You know, work by hand. But if you ever read any of my write-ups, you know, and
Stay there. Don't
I apologize they're not on Facebook and Twitter and all this other stuff, but I can't put a lot of pictures and information into little tiny spaces.
You can put your link to it and then send them over there.
Yeah, but I always take a picture of everything I use, and you'll always see these 2 tools in all my write-ups. I use them both all the time.
All right, let's jump back in.
A great investment.
What's good for cleaning headliners? Sorry, Alan.
Headliners, you know, there's different materials on headliners, but you approach headliners kind of like you approach paint. Use the least aggressive process to get the job done. First of all, to clean a headliner, if you can just use a microfiber towel and dampen it with water or something really non-aggressive, like even some woolite. You know, mix up a little woolite in a bowl, take your hand and do this, it'll kind of make some foam. Dab that on, give it a wipe, and see if that'll fix the problem. You know, to be honest, I have not had to clean a whole lot of headliners in my life. Maybe because the people I've detailed cars for don't do things like shake up Coke cans and open it up so it all squirts up on the headliner. How do you get dirt on headliner? You know, smokers, that goes up there. You get vinyl fog if it's a new car. But you know, a lot of these things, if it's a cloth material, you don't see those kinds of things. You don't visually see them. You see stains and, you know, people that put their feet up, you know, and touch the, you know. So it's
kids.
It's a whole lot of work for nothing. Sometimes what I do is I teach people, someone brings you a car and the major problem with it is some kind of horrible stain on the headliner. Have a buddy called Jim and say, you know, I'd love to fix your car, but my schedule's full. Here's my friend Jim's phone number. He's great at headliners. Just send it on down the road because you probably won't make any money on it anyway.
Well, some people, they do make money on it. Just
as
you can tell, Mike doesn't like doing it.
Well, just least aggressive process.
All right,
water dampen, microfiber towel.
All right, this I thought was a good comment. Whether you guys have ever been told you are truly a blessing to the industry that will make your way to the class to make it official. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. That goes out to you, Mike. I was like, you ate. What did we eat? I just want to know. Once again, you polish your car. Da, 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 da. All right, once you have polished your car, are you ready for the wax or ceramic coating? Which do you prefer?
The wax, for me, you know, that's a good question. And I'll tell you how I do that. I match the LSP to the customer, okay? There are some people that shouldn't have a ceramic coating because they're not gonna be able to take care of it. With a wax, you know, if you get some minor defects, they could bust out their porter cable and do a light polish and fix it. With the coating, they do not have the ability to fix the problem and put the coating back on. So I like to try to match the LSP or the last step. LSP, by the way, stands for last step process. Most of us think it stands for last step product. That would be a wax, a synthetic sealant, or a coating. But technically, I wrote the acronym. It's last step process, the last thing you do to the paint before you wipe it off and say it's done. And that could be Imperial hand glaze if it's fresh paint that just popped out of a body shop. So that's not even LSP. But I try to match the product to the customer, not what I want.
Okay, all right, Randall Charles, here's your two-part question. Ask him about X-Cut sanding disc versus Ebrion. Have you used X-Cut sanding papers?
No, I have not. Maybe the first time I've heard of it. X-Cut sanding papers. No, just so you know, usually the things I show are the things we sell because that would make sense to my boss.
No, but they're asking. I mean,
yeah, no, it's a good question. But we sell Nikon sandpapers. It's an electronics grade, super high quality Japanese finishing paper. It's not even a sanding paper. It's called a finishing paper. And for sanding discs, at this time we sell Mirka Abralon and 3M Trizac.
All right, cool. Now let's go make your shot count. I like your name. All right, hold on. How long do you have to wait to apply glaze after a polish and before a sealant?
To do what?
Apply a glaze after a polish and before a sealant.
I never use glazes.
All right.
So.
Well, say you put a sealant on and you want to put another coat.
I would never put a glaze on. You know, technically what a glaze is a non-drying oil. So 3M Imperial hand glaze, Meguiar's number 7 show car glaze, those are glazes. They're primarily used in the body shop industry after a car has been painted, sanded, and buffed. It has holograms because the body shop did hack work. They put the glaze on to mask them so the customer will look at it and go, that looks good, here's your money, and leave with their car. That's typically when a true glaze is used. The problem we run into is a lot of people in the world today put a wax out on the market that's called a glaze, and it's not a glaze, it's actually a wax or a sealant.
Okay, let's moving on, speed round. Would the PX80 be good choice for interior trim polishing?
Yeah, it would. You could put the 1-inch pad and put it in either orbital or rotary mode and do trim polishing on the inside of the car. If you put it in rotary mode, you got to be careful. You're going to sling stuff everywhere. So that's the problem with micro tools on the inside of a car is the sling, issue.
Okay.
And by the way,
some things are best to do by hand.
Yeah, some things are just best to do by hand. But yeah, you could. I'd rather work by machine anytime I can because the hand gets tired. The machine never gets tired.
What's the best on isinglass to clean scratches and paint overspray? I do have a Rupes Bigfoot DA.
Isinglass, so if you're talking about like a flexible canvas window on a Jeep or a canvas surround on a boat, Meguiar's makes a product called Plastex. It is specifically made for buffing out both rigid and flexible plastics, usually using a foam pad on an orbital polisher. I've also had really good luck using any high quality abrasive technology, sometimes by Menzerna. It's a diminishing abrasive, and also in our own Pinnacle line, the advanced finishing polish, I think I've achieved the most clear plastic using it. It's called Pinnacle Advanced Finishing Polish.
Okay, let's go here. This
uses amazing abrasive technology.
All right, Rigo, will you guys be at Florida Mobile Tech Expo coming up in Orlando and doing any classes? Take it away, Mike.
I'm glad you asked. For the last 8 or 9 years, I've been so fortunate that Mobile Tech Expo gives me an entire classroom for the entire day, and I teach 8 classes in the same classroom. This year, they're giving me a room for the entire day that is big enough I can pull a full-size real car
so we are doing what?
The classroom. So we're doing how to detail a car from inside and out, everything on a car in 8 classes in one day. If you're new to detailing, you will learn everything you need to know by planting your butt in a chair in that classroom and just staying there for the entire day.
Just get there early and be
I
front row.
haven't posted my schedule yet, but I've already submitted all my class topics. I think the first class of the morning is glass polishing because the thing about the first class at Mobile Tech Expo, it has to be a great topic to get people out of bed. I've been doing this long enough, I know exactly. Last year I did my boat detailing class where I showed how to wet sand, cut, and buff a boat, and it was standing room only, but I specifically chose that topic because I knew everybody went out and partied the night before and was going to sleep in Thursday morning on Education Day, so I have to pick a strong topic to get them out of bed.
A strong topic.
Very strong topic. But yeah, I have a full-size car in all my classes. I have 8 classes this year at Mobile Tech Expo. It's going to cover everything. Ceramic coatings, wet sanding, orbital polishers, hot water extractors, steam machines, engine detailing.
Basically everything that you ever need to know.
Everything you ever need to do to detail a car will be in that one room, one class, one day.
So that it'll be like the transformation room.
I guess extreme makeover room.
Yeah, there you go, there you go. Once again, I'd love to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, making this live detailing classes we're streaming online a success. Right now, we have quite a few people on there, and if I missed your question, we'll go through and we'll answer them in the comments and stuff. I tried my best. There's tons of comments on there, and we have X amount of time. This is already running almost 2 hours, so I'm getting hungry, and I don't think that's.
This is the size. This is too big of a pad for too small of a tool.
Right, exactly. Then next week we do have a special surprise for you. Next week, hold on. We have, due to the fact that we have his class going on, we have some vendors coming in, and so we'll be talking live with some vendors.
Let's name them: Justin Lobato, Chris Metcalf, Dr. Beasley, Jim Lefebvre, Bob Eichelberg, Jason Brennan, and Rod Kraft from Griot's. We'll have 5 or 6 celebrity VIPs here, and we'll be at a round table.
And they'll be at a round table. Then you never know, they might have some of their new goodies that are showing off here. So what do you call it? Definitely stay tuned for that. It's kind of get up close if you want to ask a vendor, those vendors, which is Lake Country, Udos,
Dr. Beasley's. We got the new NSP products.
Yeah,
really cool stuff. Dr. Beasley will be here.
Yeah, so get your questions ready for that one. It'll be again next Thursday at 3 o'clock.
Eastern time.
Then the next day after that, there will be his live detailing class. And I may or may not be popping in and out and doing a little lives in throughout his class. I can't give away too much of everything that goes on in his class, but I'll give you little snips and tidbits in there. Yeah. So with that being said, and now that you know what's coming next week, we hope to see you there. It's going to be a fun one. Definitely a lot of insight going on.
Yeah.
And after that, I'm going to leave, and you can put all this back up. You've been practicing all day long on all those other polishers. I mean, look, you do it so well.
Thanks, Yancy.
You're welcome.
Now, thanks for watching, everybody. Always appreciate it.
What do we say?
Tune in next week, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Attaboy. Bye, everybody.